What's going on, guys? Nick Lesagore here, Exit 12 Homebrew in the house. And I'm here on a brew day, my first one this winter, I guess you could say. It is March 1st, and I saw early in the week it was gonna be over 50 degrees. And so I said, you know what? We need to brew. And I'm keeping on with my brew year's resolutions. And in doing so, I am experimenting today on some level. I'm gonna be brewing a batch. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm brewing a batch of Donovan. I'm brewing a New England IPA. Now, the reason why I kind of stopped brewing New England IPAs is because, as you know, I live in the southeastern part of Massachusetts, and I get great New England IPAs here from Trillium, Treehouse, Vitamin C, some really great spots. Widowmaker makes some awesome ones. And so I said, Nick, why are you spending all this time and frustration making these New England IPAs when you get world-class New England IPAs anyway? Well, I want to challenge myself, and in a way, in challenging myself, one way to do that is to make a New England IPA. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do here today. I'm making a batch of Donovan. This batch isn't going to have any Azacca hops. I'm going back to the drawing board when it comes to this brand, to this beer itself. Donovan historically has always had Azacca hops in it. And the truth is, years ago when I thought of Donovan as a beer to name after my son, I was rather lazy in just picking a hop. Galaxy was my favorite hop at the time, but when I was brewing New England IPAs with Galaxy, they were coming across extremely phenolic and really band-aidy and not great, and I didn't like the Galaxy. So I found I didn't like homebrewing with Galaxy. I liked drinking other commercial New England IPAs with Galaxy. So I just chose Azacca randomly. So now I am on the hunt to find the true Donovan hop. And in doing so, I am going to be experimenting today with the hops and with this hop. Pow! Kabala-bang. That is the Krush hop from none other than Yakima Valley hops. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Krush, it's a new hop, but it's technically HBC 586, which is something they've been experimenting with for quite some time. This is 2024 batch, which I'm excited about. Fresh hops, gotta have fresh hops in your New England IPA. Krush is gonna bring in some really nice stone fruit characters. If you look up, do some research on Krush, they basically say, brewers have called it a fruit salad of hops. So when I think of stone fruit, I'm thinking about going back to the drawing board, leaning away from the imperial juice yeast that I had been using for years on this batch, and I'm bringing in a different yeast. Now, that yeast isn't currently on premises. I ordered it, it's on its way, it should be here today. But the yeast that I'm going to be using is from Lallemand, and it's a new yeast called Pomona. The Pomona yeast is a hybrid, lab-created New England IPA strain that is known for, if you were to talk to Gavin from the Homebrew Network, it is known for very, very strong peach, which he does not like. The peach has been characterized to overwhelm the beer. Now, I love peach. The hops I'm using, Krush hops, are stone fruit. You get characters of stone fruit on the hops. So my thinking is, hopefully this is a perfect marriage of hops and yeast in a New England IPA. Now, that's not all. I'm also experimenting with hops in the sense that I'm going to be doing a first wort addition. This is the first time on my own in my system I'm doing a first wort addition. That's going to be a first wort addition of Simcoe. I'm going to be adding, I think it's an ounce of Simcoe when I'm pulling first runnings before I start sparging. That's not all. I'm also going to be adding a little bit of Simcoe later on in the boil, and then we're going to be dry hopping with Mosaic. Mosaic hop hash, to be exact. 4 ounces of Mosaic hop hash. Because if you look up Krush, the great thing about Krush is that it plays well with hops like Citra, Galaxy, and you guessed it, Mosaic. So the reason why I'm not really giving super specifics in terms of the recipe on this beer is because it is named after my son. It is a very special kind of beer to me. I've made some great versions of it in the past. In honesty, you can probably go back in my past videos where I've brewed this beer and you can find the recipe. I'm gonna be a little bit more secretive about the recipe in this video, just because again, I would like to hold it a little bit closer to the vest. But what I will say is that I'm using a melange, $5 word, a melange of flaked adjuncts, flaked barley, flaked oats, flaked white wheat. I'm also going in with some carapils, some white wheat malt, basic two-row. And one thing I'm doing, because I noticed on the last batch and in the notes I took on my last batch, while the beer came out to be a little dark, I think there might have been some oxidation, it was really one-dimensional in the flavor. So I am adding just a scotch, just a pinch of caramel 10, just to get the sweetness up a little bit more where I like it. So I'm really excited about this brew day, as I am about all of them. I got fresh hot coffee. I'd say it's about time. I've done enough talking. Let's get started with this brew day. Okay, here's the Krush. Taking a peek. There you go. A little fine, but the husks are cracked. Maybe even in half. But this is what this Krush on the SS Brew Tech mill that I got off of Facebook Marketplace probably about a year ago now. Maybe less than a year ago. I find that this setting, I think it's setting number 1. I think it's 1 or 0. Gets me the best Krush. And for those of you that haven't seen my video on the grain mill that I got off of Facebook Marketplace, unfortunately, I purchased it off a brewer that was closing up his small microbrewery. But this mill has, I've seen easily a 15 to 20% jump in brewhouse efficiency with this mill. And what I meant on the setting is that what I meant, that this is what I meant when I was talking about the setting at 0. It looks like the 1 is not screwed in, so I'm thinking that I'm at a 0 on this. And to adjust the setting, you just unscrew and screw. It's really simple. And this mill has been very good to me over the course of the past year or so. Okay, everything's in place. I got my sparge water all heated up already to 170. I'm sitting at 156.8 on the wrapped and 147.7 on the unit. Now, I don't really think the unit's at 147.7, I'll say that. But we're gonna mash in now on the newest batch of Donovan. No rice hulls, as I normally do, but I do have my glasses on, which I don't normally do. Just took them off. Okay. Trying to slow mash in, do my best Gam Dude impression since I'm wearing the sweatshirt this morning. Oh man, I have missed that smell, I gotta tell you. If you've noticed, my recirculation tube is different. I went back to the high temp tubing with the wort spreader. That wort spreader, that plastic piece on the end, that wort spreader is something that used to come with the original Brew, which is what I have heating up my sparge water right now. The reason why I switched is because the flexi arm, because of what it's made out of, obviously, would get so hot because of the temperature, 150, 170 when I was mashing out. It would get so hot that I wouldn't be able to touch it. Also, while I don't think it makes a difference, I'm almost positive, in fact, it doesn't make a difference. I do like the plastic piece on the end, which wasn't something that I could hook up with the flexi arm. I do like the way that the wort spreads when I'm recirculating with that plastic piece. If you've seen any of my older videos, you would know what I'm talking about, and I'll show you it here today. This is my mix of flaked adjuncts. Obviously, you do not mill flaked wheat, flaked barley, flaked oats. You do not mill those things. I don't know what would happen if you did. I never have, and all the research I've done says that you don't. So we aren't. Currently sitting at 152.6 on the unit. I think I'm going to turn that up a little bit, just so the heat goes on. Do to 154. So yeah, I find that I get better wort spreadage, better wort distribution during recirculation with the plastic piece. I've actually had a couple extras because I bought them off of More Beer. And I sent one to Big Dog Brewing. I think he uses it for his system. Oh, this smells so good. So milky looking. That should clear up a little bit. I'm mashing in with 6 gallons of water. And then I am sparging with 3. Currently sitting at 148. I'd rather be low than high. If I'm low, that means I can heat up to get to temp. Oh yeah, this smells good. It'll be nice to put fresh 5 gallons onto the kegerator once this is all done. Okay. My temp was dropping pretty quickly, so I did mash in with the last half or so fairly quickly. I want to make it clear that is not Gamdude approved. Looking pretty good. I'm going to unravel this a little bit more to give it a little bit more slack. Currently sitting at 143 on the wrapped, 144 and 162 on the unit, which tells me I need to continue dialing in my system. But for now, it should even out soon. But for now, I got the top on. I'm going to set a 10-minute timer, and then we're going to recirculate for 3 minutes and then take a pH. All right. I'm going to turn the system off right now because I'm going to pull a sample. I've been recirculating for the last 3 minutes or so. And let it go for a sec. Here we go. And boom, there's a sample. I'm going to throw this in the fridge or the freezer for 5 minutes, and then we'll take a pH. Look at that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy with the high temp tubing. Okay, we are well on our way in the mash here. I took a mash pH sample, sitting at 5.6. Now, when I'm trying to calibrate this thing with 7 pH calibration solution, it only goes as high as 6.93, So that would tell me that I'm missing 7 points, so this would technically be 5.67. So I'm gonna add some lactic acid. Okay, I added in about 2 milliliters of lactic acid, probably too much. I added in 2 milliliters of lactic acid to lower the mash pH. I'm gonna let this recirculate for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna pull another sample. We are currently sitting at 155.8 on the wrapped and 149.4 on the unit. Now what I'm finding is, I had to turn up the unit. So the unit was at one point was at 156 because the build-in was too hot and the wrapped was too warm. Now, because of that, the wrapped is too warm and the build-in is too hot. In honesty, I'd rather have this. I'd rather have the wrapped be too hot, the build-in be too warm, because the wrapped is reading the mash on the other side and not at the very bottom. With that said, the reason why this is happening is because, see that heat percentage? Hold on, see that heat percentage? I did not turn that down to 60%. 240 volt unit, you cannot mash in at 100% heat percentage. I did. So that's why my temps were so far off. So I'm gonna be chasing my mash temp pretty much this whole mash. Hopefully it centers out soon, but the good news is, with the wrap temperature thermometer, the unit will not turn on even if the build-in is saying there's a differential override and it's because it's too cool on the build-in. So the unit listens to the wrap temperature thermometer in this case and will not turn on until we get until the wrap gets below 152. So that's why I have the unit open. I'm trying to cool it down. Okay, we just got done with the 10-minute mash out at 170 degrees. I'm gonna pull the recirculation arm. I'm gonna put it in a bucket. Put it in a bucket to rest. Okay. No, no. Okay, we have reached mash out. We did so for 10 minutes at 170, although it was more like 20 minutes because it took about 10 minutes to get up to 170. But that's normal for this system. I like to do a true 10-minute mash out at 170. We're gonna shut off the wrap temperature probe. Throw that in some water. We'll use that to clean later. Okay. And now we're gonna move this out. I have to remember, I have my first wort addition. And because of the pulley system, it's actually gonna be very easy to do a first wort addition. Boy, do I love this pulley system. I may have to move it out when I put in my sink. We'll see, I may have to move it down more. Or this way more, maybe this way. Okay, the holes in the wall where I missed, the holes in the ceiling where I missed would indicate that the wood goes this way. The wood framing goes this way. Okay, this tells me we need to come this way. There we go. Let's see how that works. Usually I'm fighting with this thing to get it to center. Okay. Boom. Pull it up. Okay. Let the pulley do the work. Oh. The flow sounds great. Okay, which way are we leaning? Oh, oh, oh. Okay. Okay, A little bit of loss, but not crazy. Okay. We're going to start sparging, but first we're going to add our first wort addition. Okay, we're still got the first running still going. Look at those hops. 2024 freshies. Simcoe. First wort hops. We're going to throw them in now. I'm going to show you up close. Okay, my light's not currently working, but here we go. I'm going to try to chuck them in. Whoo! Boom. There it is, first wort hop addition. We're halfway through the sparge. I'm sitting at 191 degrees. The filtering's going a little slow, but honestly, that's what I want with a beer like this. A lot of flaked adjuncts. I want the water, I want the sparge water to be able to slowly filter through the grain bed. So I'm not going to disturb the grain bed. I'm going to let it go. Let it take its time on the sparge. In general, you know, I've heard some brewers, it takes up to an extra hour to sparge. So it depends on who you talk to and what their methodology is. I'll say, in terms of the first wort hop addition, the aroma is incredible. So nicely hoppy, mixed with that cooked grain kind of, you know, cereal kind of flavor, which really for me is a very, very pleasant smell. It kind of smells like the boil, just not yet, which is cool. So I don't know if I covered this or not yet, but I'll say briefly, the reason why I wanted to add the Simcoe hops at first wort, one is because I've never done it before, but two, it's to provide a smoother bitterness. The idea is that when you're hopping at a certain temperature, yeah, the hop chemicals, you know, the things that are in the hops, the hop properties are going through the boil. But the idea is that when you're first wort hopping, you're getting a smoother bitterness. And that's kind of what I found in a collaboration beer I did with Gary, main brew guy, AKA Chubby Mermaid, and Dave Big Dog, which is, I have that brew day video actually up on my channel. So this is my first time doing it. So I'm really intrigued to see what I get from it. As I mentioned earlier, I'm also adding a later boil edition. It's actually a 30-minute edition of Simcoe. So that's not the only dose of Simcoe it's going to get. But basically, instead of using the Centennial, I'm going to use the Simcoe because I found the Centennial does give off a little bit of a harsh bitterness, which I don't mind in a West Coast IPA, which is what I have from my Progress 71 West Coast IPA that I currently have on tap. But I was kind of looking for maybe more of a smoother bitterness. So first wort hopping, Simcoe. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, we're currently sitting at 5.32. My system, the Brewfather software said I should be at 5.55, which is high. So 5.31. So I'm going to call this good at around 5.3. I'm sure it'll go down a little bit more. We'll call this good. Okay, I'm rusty. It's been a while since I've brewed. Let's be honest about that. So I forgot a couple of things. My son is playing basketball in the foreground. Or I don't know if that's foreground. Behind the camera, he's playing basketball with my 5-gallon buckets right now, so don't mind the noise. I was shooting for 1.065 on my OG. I was shooting for 1.055 on my pre-boil. The problem is that I didn't take a pre-boil. I forgot. I didn't take a gravity until about 17 minutes, 18 minutes into the boil. And that is 1.061. So that would tell me 17 minutes into the boil that we're on track. Thankfully. I forgot to take a first runnings gravity. I forgot to take the pre-boil gravity. My mash temp was all over the place because I forgot to lower the power percentage to 55%. So a lot of learning going on here, relearning, getting back into the swing of things because it's now March. Good weather, I'm going to start brewing more. Okay, we've hit the 30-minute mark. That means more Simcoe in the boil. The goal of a 30-minute addition is to help aid in the aroma character. And Simcoe, as I'm smelling, is one of the better aroma hops in my opinion. And a hop I really need to use more of. So there's Simcoe at 30 minutes. After that, we're gonna, 10-minute addition I probably won't record, is gonna be the yeast nutrient. And then we're gonna do the Whirlpool, which I will show, of Krush hops. Okay, we have come to the end of the boil. I let the beer sit for like 10 minutes so I could eat lunch. Or really a late breakfast, but we're shooting for 170. So I just had to quickly take the chiller out of the unit, and I don't have a bucket to put it in. I gotta go grab a bucket. Oh, but all right. But get down to 170 is when we're going to start whirlpooling. Ooh. Okay, what I've done now is I just turned the Whirlpool arm on so that it's recirculating the wort. We're at 172 and going down. We want to stay right at 170. So what happened was I was at about 198 when I put the chiller in because, like I said, I took a little break and I pulled the chiller out probably within about 15, 20 seconds, maybe 25 seconds. We're now at 170. And this is probably time for me to throw in the 4 ounces of hops. We have 4 ounces of Krush, 2 each. Here we're gonna get a first smell on these bad boys. Oh yeah. Slightly cheesy, a little dank. I do get almost like a Hallertau middle fruit kind of character coming off of them. It's going to be good. 169.7 recirculating. 2 ounces of Krush going in. And another, let me get one more little sniff. Another 2 ounces of Krush going in. So this 170-degree Whirlpool, we're going to do it for 20 minutes, starting now. And at the end of the 20 minutes, we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes, let everything collect at the bottom, and then we will, well, we're going to cool after the Whirlpool, and then we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes. And then we'll transfer into the fermenter. Okay. The Whirlpool is over. I'm gonna cut the heat, and now I'm gonna go outside, hopefully, for what is the last time. Oh, it is nice out though. And I'm gonna chill down the beer. The idea is, hopefully, that I can have my sink installed between now and the next brew day so that I'll be able to use running water and use my sink to cool the beer, to do everything, really. So I'm very excited about that. And it's something I'm really looking forward to. Okay, 10-minute rest is over. I did turn the heat up because we got down to 62 degrees on the chilling because I was opening my new RO system to record a separate video. So I turned up the heat to get it back up to pitch temp. Even though I don't even have the yeast anyway, but whatever. Might as well heat while I'm waiting for everything to settle. All right, so now we are going to transfer. We are at here 25, 24, 23, probably 22 and a half liters. So we're low, we're short. I want 6 gallons into the fermenter. So 22 and a half is gonna get me, 5.9. We'll see where it ends up. We'll see where it ends up. I did add on an extra 1/4 gallon, just because I know how strong the boil is. The boil was stronger on this batch. I was at 213 degrees, although I'm not really calibrated well. The bottom probe I don't think is super well calibrated. In any event, we're going to transfer now into the fermenter and hopefully get as close to 6 gallons as we can. Look at that. That is some beautiful haze coming in. Loving the way this thing's looking. Hopefully the honey doesn't add too much darkness to it. Okay, we're done transferring into the fermenter. I just got to throw it in the fermentation chamber. Here you go. There is the sample. Gonna pop it in. Run it through. We're shooting for 1.065. Very happy that I remembered to get a sample for final gravity. And we are at 1.070, so we're 5 points high, which may make some sense because I'm probably low on volume. But 1.070, that's where we're at. I don't show this a lot when I brew hoppy beers, but I really should, because it's kind of cool looking. Look at all those hops. All those T90 hops. We had 4 in the Whirlpool, and then 1.5 ounces basically in the boil. And that is a nice little hop cake. Okay, it is 2:22, 222, lucky numbers. I got in the yeast. There it is. Kaboom. Pomona from Lallemand. Really excited about this yeast. The stone fruit I'm really pumped about. I got done brewing about 2 hours ago. This came just as I got done brewing, but I had to go drop off the spent grain to a neighbor here in town who has her own chickens. She said, "Nick, I got no eggs. Got no eggs for you, but unlimited firewood. I have a fire pit. I love a nice fire." I was more than happy to take the firewood. So here we are. We're back. Firewood is put away in my lean-to, and it just started raining. So I got there just in time. I got everything done just in time. Gonna hit everything with some Sani. We are gonna put this under pressure pretty much immediately. Excuse the lighting as well. My light's broken, so I'm gonna have to get a new one. So in the meantime, please excuse the lighting. Okay, boom, there it is. This is probably gonna be a little bit difficult to see, so I won't show all that. Boom. Pitching right on top. Turn it around. Boom. Alright. Gotta get that down somehow. To me, this is the only downside of the Firmzilla, is that I can't effectively get the lid on. I like the new Firmzilla, or the 15-gallon Firmzilla has a lid that's much easier to put on. Okay. That. We have a CO2 tank here. Gonna hit it with some gassy gas. The beer finished at 1.071. We hit just under 79% efficiency. We have the wrapped pill in there right now. And yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take 78% efficiency. Not the best, but I've gotten higher. But I was low on volume and high on gravity. Okay, here we go. CO2 is all set. I did turn up the heat. I'm currently at 63 on the wrapped. So I did turn up the heat because I want to really be fermenting around 68. All right. Currently at about 10 psi, 12 psi. That's where I want to be to ferment. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this thing go down a little bit more. And we'll stop it right there. So 10 psi is where I want to be, 10 to 12. And it's heating up. And there we go. There's the beer. A little dark. See if I can put on my light. There we go. It's a little bit better. There's the beer. We'll see how this one turns out. Thank you so much for watching. L'chaim.